Some people don't waste their lives dramatically. They lose them quietly by saying, someday I'll get serious. Someday I'll start the business. Someday I'll call them. Someday I'll become the person I keep imagining at 2 a.m. And the scary part? You probably still believe you have a lot of some days left. That's the illusion. You think time disappears in years. It doesn't. It disappears in ordinary Tuesdays, in those weird afternoons where you open your phone for 2 minutes and somehow it's dark outside. In those nights where you tell yourself tomorrow will be different. Then, tomorrow arrives, looking suspiciously like yesterday. And you repeat. You don't notice it immediately, because nothing feels catastrophic. No alarm goes off. No dramatic collapse. No rock bottom. Life rarely screams when it's slipping away. Usually, it whispers. And that whisper sounds like this. I'll do it later. That sentence has ruined more lives than failure ever did. Because failure hurts. Delay feels safe. At first, this feels harmless. You postpone a hard conversation. You delay learning something difficult. You keep tolerating a job that drains you. You stay in routines that make you numb. Not because you're lazy. That's too shallow. The truth is more uncomfortable. You delay because delaying protects your identity. Think about it. As long as you haven't truly tried, your dream is still intact. The business didn't fail because you never launched. The relationship didn't end because you never said what mattered. The new version of you didn't fall short because you never fully committed. Delay protects fantasy. Action threatens it. And this is where things start falling apart. Because every postponed decision creates psychological debt. You carry it everywhere. That unfinished goal, still there. That avoided task, still there. That version of you that keeps waiting to be born, still there. You feel it at strange moments, while brushing your teeth, while watching Netflix but not really watching, while scrolling through people your age doing things you secretly want. There's this tiny tension in your chest. Not panic. Not even sadness. Something quieter. A dull awareness that you're behind your own life. And maybe the worst part. You're functioning well enough that nobody notices. You still smile. Still reply to messages. Still show up. Still joke around. From the outside, you're fine. But internally, there's friction, because deep down, you know something. You know exactly where you're betraying yourself. Usually not in huge ways. Small ways. Very small. Breaking promises to yourself. Again, saying you'll wake early, not doing it. Saying you'll focus tonight, not doing it. Saying you'll change, not doing it. People think self-trust collapses from major failures. Not usually. It erodes through tiny betrayals. Repeated. Quiet. Private. And here's what nobody realizes. Every time you ignore what you know you should do, your future self notices. That version of you, stronger, calmer, disciplined, fully alive, is watching. Not judging. Watching. Waiting. And maybe that's why certain videos hit you harder than others. Not because they teach something new, because they remind you of something you already know. Something buried under distraction, buried under noise, buried under comfort. You already know the truth. You know what matters. You know what you're avoiding. You know where your energy leaks. So why don't you move? Why do intelligent people stay stuck? Why do people who deeply understand self-improvement still fail to change? Wait until you realize why. Because this part changes everything. The problem isn't lack of knowledge. It's emotional negotiation. You negotiate with discomfort constantly. Your brain is brilliant at making delay sound reasonable. Not obvious excuses, sophisticated ones. I need more clarity first. I'll start when I feel ready. This week is messy. Soft bed, easy dopamine, infinite content, low-effort pleasure, constant stimulation. It doesn't feel expensive when you're spending it, only afterward. Only when you look back and realize an entire season of your life vanished into autopilot. 3 months gone, 6 months gone, a year gone, and you can barely explain where it went. Not because you were building something meaningful, not because you were fully living. Mostly, you were busy staying comfortable, and that's the part that hurts, because comfort feels harmless in the moment. You tell yourself, I deserve rest. I've had a long day. I'll work tomorrow. Sometimes that's true. Real rest matters, but you know the difference between rest and escape. You know, rest restores, escape numbs. Rest leaves you clearer, escape leaves you emptier. That's why you can binge content for 5 hours and still feel exhausted. Your body sat still, but your nervous system never rested. Constant stimulation isn't relaxation, it's occupation. Your mind stays busy so you don't have to hear what silence is trying to say. And silence says things most people spend years avoiding. Things like, you're not tired, you're disconnected, you're not confused, you're avoiding a decision, you're not stuck because life is unfair. You're stuck because part of you still worships comfort. That line stings, because it's personal, but stay with it. This is where the shift happens. Most people try to change behavior first. Wake earlier, delete apps, set goals, track habits. Sometimes helpful. Usually temporary, because behavior follows identity. And this is the part most people miss. Your real addiction may not be social media, or entertainment, or procrastination. It may be this: being the version of yourself that doesn't have to risk failure. Think about that. As long as you stay in planning mode, you don't have to face reality, no rejection, no embarrassment, no uncertainty, no proof that maybe you're not as exceptional as you hoped. That's terrifying, because dreams are beautiful in imagination. Reality is messier. Reality demands friction, awkward first attempts, bad drafts, slow progress, boring repetition, no dramatic montage, mostly repetition. And your ego hates that. It wants instant transformation. But real change feels strangely unremarkable. It looks like this: doing the thing when you don't feel like it, again and again and again. Not because you're forcing motivation, because you stop negotiating. That's freedom, not endless motivation. No, freedom is reducing negotiation. Imagine waking up and no longer debating with yourself. No endless internal meeting, no committee discussion. No should I, only this matters. So I move. That version of you already exists, not in the future. Underneath the noise, underneath the excuses, underneath the comfort addiction. That person isn't missing. They're buried. And maybe that changes how you see yourself. Maybe you don't need fixing. Maybe you need remembering. Remembering who you are without constant distraction, without constant stimulation, without constant escape. Who are you in silence? That question scares people, because silence removes performance. No content, no notifications, no validation. Only you. And if sitting alone for 10 minutes feels unbearable, ask yourself why. Not with judgment, with honesty. What are you running from? Regret, loneliness, fear, grief, pressure, the version of yourself you abandoned? Sometimes the reason we stay distracted isn't productivity, it's pain avoidance. And healing starts the moment you stop running. Not when life becomes perfect, when avoidance ends. That may mean uncomfortable conversations, uncomfortable truth, uncomfortable choices, but discomfort isn't always the enemy. Sometimes discomfort is the doorway to self-respect, to clarity, to peace, to becoming someone you trust. And trust, that's everything. Because once you trust yourself, life changes. You stop depending on moods. You stop waiting for perfect timing. You stop needing external hype. You become stable, quietly powerful, not loud, not performative, grounded. You say something, you do it. Simple, rare, powerful. And future you? That person you've imagined for years? They were never created by one giant breakthrough. They were built through tiny acts of integrity. One choice at a time, one promise kept, one difficult moment not avoided. That's all. Small moments, repeated, compounded, until one day, you look in the mirror and notice something strange. You feel different. Not because life got easier, because you got stronger. And suddenly, someday loses power. Because you understand something now. You were never running out of time. You were running out of unconscious time, time spent asleep, distracted, numb, delayed. That's what was disappearing, not your life, your presence inside it. And this changes everything, because if you can notice the pattern, you can interrupt it. Right here, today. Not dramatically. Quietly. Maybe after this video ends, you don't open another tab. Maybe you sit in silence. Maybe you finally do the task you've avoided. Maybe you make the call, write the message, start the thing. Not because you suddenly feel fearless, because you're tired of abandoning yourself. That's the real turning point, not motivation. Self-respect. And here's the truth. Future you is watching every delay, every excuse, every promise, every act of courage. The question isn't whether that future arrives. It will. The question is, when you meet that version of yourself, will they thank you or grieve what you kept postponing? Sit with that, because if this felt a little too real, maybe that's the part you shouldn't ignore.